Welcome back to J Tendencies. I'm your host, Jay Suave.
And I am J Reese.
It's sad to say the 2023 NFL season has come to a close. What a season, though, it's been for teams that we had our doubts for, teams that we've had our confidence for. I know our teams didn't really have the seasons we thought they would have, but we're going to get right into the weekly recap with y'all. Is there anything you want to talk about first, Jaden?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the reason why this episode is a little late. Normally we would be posting on Tuesday, but we recorded on the Tuesday, so it's dropping on Wednesday because on Monday was the college football championships. And
Sir.
I know you hate it, Jalen, but Michigan won the Natty, beat the Huskies 34 to 14.
Uh,
And what do you have to say about the game, Jay?
I don't even want to say congratulations to them. But hey, they won. I mean, if this is enough to hurt Michael Penix's draft stock, that's pretty bad. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. Michigan has the best defense in the country. We talked about this. We knew this was going to be a struggle for the Huskies. We knew. And going into that game, you saw them go down 17-3 pretty quickly. And seeing whenever the Huskies are getting into the red zone and not being able to score, and it's one of those things. You saw a drop pass by Romo Dunze that would have gave him a touchdown, but it's little things like that that lose you a game, and it can get out of hand pretty quickly. So I don't want to congratulate Michigan as an Ohio State fan, but I just feel bad for the Huskies.
Yeah, man. Like you said, it was a great defensive game from the number one defense in college football. Against going against one of the most explosive offenses in college football. We thought it was going to be a little closer game, a little low scoring, you know what I'm saying? Because or at least it's closer because like we said, Michael Penix was playing great football. We saw what he did against Texas in the first round of the playoffs. And we just thought he was gonna, not do the exact same thing, you feel me? But we didn't think that defense would clamp him like that.
Yeah.
So, like you said, great game by Michigan. They had only 140 passing yards, but they had 300 rushing yards against the Washington defense. They had both their two running backs had two tuds each, over 100 yards each. JJ McCarthy only had 10 completions for 55 completion percentage. But you
Handoff
don't
merchant.
but hey, you don't need to do anything if your offense is running the ball like they were running it. Like I remember we were watching the game. We saw in the first drive from Michigan that one deep far run by number
Donovan
seven, I
what?
forgot.
Donovan
Yeah.
Donovan Edwards.
Bro, hit the hole and bro was just gone. Bro was from then I was
For
like,
real.
yeah, I said the game's over. I was like,
But it
bro's
was
about to
like
go crazy.
you see all those blocks and you're like, goodness. Like whenever everything works at the same time, it's literally poetry in motion.
Mhm.
So,
But yeah, let's go ahead and go into the NFL season. Like you said, the NFL season has concluded sadly, but on the bright side, it is playoff season, baby, and playoff season is always exciting. The Jags ended up missing the playoffs. After losing to the Titans, the Texans had locked up a division. And if you've been a day one listener, I said this like the second week of the pod that I thought the Texans were going to win the division, and that's exactly what they did, right? It didn't happen exactly how I thought it would happen, but the fact is they still won the division, and well, like it's just crazy. This team were fighting for the number one spot for the number one pick last year, right? They were
yeah.
that bad, and now they won the division. They're in the playoffs. They're hosting a playoff game with a rookie quarterback. So it's just a shout out to DeMeco Ryans, shout out to CJ Stroud, shout out to all them boys. They did an incredible job this season. Excited to see what they do in the playoffs. And we'll go into that a little bit more later. But you have anything to say about that, Jay?
Yeah, man. I mean, CJ Stroud going into a game with the season on the line. It's either win or go home. You go out there, complete 20 passes, 264 yards, and two touchdowns. And with the Jacksonville loss, they clinched the division, obviously. And I thought the opposite would happen with the division. I thought the Jags would win it whenever we talked about it on the pod. And I had Trevor Lawrence as my MVP this year, which was a crazy turnaround from what I posted that week one. And that was just one of the craziest things I've ever said that has came back
Another
in.
another thing you said from week one, the offensive rookie of the year was going to
Bro.
was going to Bryce Young.
Yeah,
And
I did say he would win Offense Rookie of the Year.
And
And
speaking of that, the Bucks lock up the division against the Panthers. They won 9-0. Not a great game by either offense, really, but the Bucks ended up getting 3 field goals, and that secured the win. The Panthers were shut out 2 games in a row for the first time since a minute. I think it was like 2008 I saw. So,
yeah, I think so.
yeah, you definitely wanted to win this game because it's a, division rival, even though you guys already have the number one pick, or the Bears have number one pick now. But that's a game you really want, like you said when we were talking about it yesterday. You want to win that game to get a little bit of momentum going to the offseason. But I still think you do have a little bit of momentum going to the offseason. You have some stuff to look forward to in the coaching staff and whatnot. And you also see that defense is still really, really good, right? They didn't let up a single touchdown all game, let up only 3 points, 3 field goals, and that was it, So as a Panthers fan, how are you feeling looking forward to the next season?
Honestly, I'm just hoping our coaching staff gets reevaluated and brought to a closer we can actually lock in as a team. I'm hoping we don't lose guys like Frankie Louvu and Derek Brown, who just hit the most tackles by a defensive tackle in NFL history. So if he's not first team All Pro, I'm coming for whoever makes that list, and I'm raising hell because there's no way he's not first team All Pro for breaking a record like that. And I'm just hoping that next year we can just. I want T. Higgins on the team too. I
Yeah.
don't want to overpay him, but I want him on the team.
Honestly, it could happen because after watching that Jamar Chase interview, talking about it all depends on how much they pay me, whether T. Higgins will come back or not. T. Higgins is realistically could be moving or walking away, and
Hey, bro,
they have so the Panthers, you got to make a move for him, man.
T. Higgins used to be a Carolina fan. He tweeted about it like whenever he was in high school or something or college.
Hey, we'll see.
We will see. But I also want to talk about so they had the Lions game this week. The Lions had played their starters. Dan Campbell had played their starters. They went out there and won 30-20, but at what cost? Now Sam Laporta's injured. And with a hyperextended knee, he should miss that first playoff game. He might not miss that second one. And then they lost their punt returner, one of the best punt returns in the league, Khalif Raymond. And they basically went out there playing, trying to improve from the number 3 seed to the number 3 seed.
Yeah.
So there was no reason to play the starters.
I
And I
understand why they were playing because if they would have won and Dallas would have lost, they would have secured the number 2 seed. And
there
that's what
was
they
no
were really
reason to
hoping
like
for. But like at the same time, you could have, I feel like you could have still had a really good chance at winning that game with your backups in. So I understand but that's just been Dan Campbell's mentality all season. We're gonna punch him in the mouth. We're not gonna like really hold anything back. Like we saw that against Dallas, right? They went for 3 2-point conversions. So playing their starters this week didn't really surprise me. But it is a shame that we two of their main contributors got hurt during
I
that
get
game.
I get that there's that outside shot of you getting that number 2 seed, but you having to rely on two of those afternoon games is so crazy to me. I wouldn't have even started my guys, and you would have still had a chance to win because the Vikings were 7-9.
Hmm.
There's no reason you would even have to do that. And speaking of the Vikings, Justin Jefferson copped 1,000 yards this season with fewer than 10 games played. I'm pretty sure he's the third guy to ever do that, which is really impressive.
Bro is just greatness, man. Like hopefully he's all healthy all of next season because the game is just a better thing to watch whenever he's playing the game.
I'm already knowing. I got a couple. I got two more teams I want to talk about. I got
Okay.
the Bills. I tweeted about them the other day. They fought all their way back from being what,
6-6.
6-6, 5-5 with Ken Dorsey to only losing one game without Ken Dorsey. And whenever he got fired, we were like, is he truly the problem, or is it their DC, or is it their head coach? But they went out there and proved themselves. They are the definition of how will you respond. And
Backs on the line, Josh Allen. They said you're a turnover machine.
I
How will
know.
you respond? And he
And I know
responded, man.
Miami was beat up and everything, and people were kind of counting this team out, but literally they just came in, put their hard hat on, grabbed their lunch pail, and got to work, and ended up winning that division. And that's not something that we thought they were going to do 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that I got to give my props to them. Then my last team, I got the Green Bay Packers. After starting 3-6 on their season, they finished 9-8 and have become the youngest team in the NFL to make the playoffs since the 1974 Bills. I want to
They're younger
say,
than the Texans?
yeah, they're younger than the Texans.
Mm.
You gotta think, Laramie Tunsil probably brings
Oh
that
yeah.
team up
Oh yeah.
up a number. But Jordan Love was fantastic in his first year as a starter. He threw for 32 touchdowns. And despite throwing to a bunch of first year and second year guys, Green Bay was averaging like 26 points a game. And I mean, over their last 8 games, I mean, 26 points over the last 8 games, which earned a playoff berth against the Dallas Cowboys. And we will talk about that game later.
Yeah, I
And
have two more teams to talk about too, but you did knock off two of the teams I wanted to talk about, so I appreciate you for doing that. But first thing I'm gonna talk about because we are talking about the great turnaround the Bills had when they were 6-6, and after that game the Eagles were 11-1, right? And it was the whole total opposite, right? We dropped out 5 out of the last 6 games to fall 11-6, and it's just disappointing, right? We were the number 1 seed at that point, and now we're at the number fifth seed. So it's just something that it's not great to see. Like obviously from the beginning of the season, I did see issues within the team, but it was easy to like not just mention it because we were winning those games. But once teams started to exploit those weaknesses, when we started losing these games, it's really hard to be optimistic for the playoffs. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I just want to talk about that briefly. And then controversial with the New Orleans Saints, the late game touchdown against the Falcons to Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams gets his first touchdown of the season after being the leader in touchdowns last season. And Arthur Smith reasonably and Shannon Sharp were angry. Like I wasn't mad at Jameis Winston or anybody for that call. I thought it was just, it's a division rival. Like I don't really care. They're running the score up.
You had nothing to lose. The
Yeah.
Bucks already won.
Exactly. So I'm not really mad. Jameis Winston's just I don't know why they're mad at him when it was really a team decision, but they're putting all the blame on Jameis. And Jameis is taking it. Like Jameis is like, whatever. That's a great locker room guy. I love Jameis Winston, already. But it's just I thought it was funny. Like I thought it was an interesting call. I wasn't really tripping about it. It's not like really make or break for me. But I don't really have an issue with it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really care either. I mean, they won by 30. So,
Hmm.
like, I get like scoring a touchdown in that type of fashion is disrespectful in a way.
Hmm.
But going out there and being like Jameis Winston should be cut, he wouldn't be on my team is kind of crazy, especially if it's the whole team
Hmm.
literally is saying, okay, screw you, we're going to do what we want. That reflects on you as a coach,
Yeah.
not as them as players. And you didn't give the guy who basically led the league in touchdowns last year. You didn't give him one this year.
And
And
a lot of the reason for that is because he wasn't really playing running back because once everybody was hurt and stuff, he was expecting to play running back once Alvin Kamara got a suspension, but they said they had him playing like a fullback role, which isn't really his type of thing. So he wasn't
yeah,
really utilized the same way as he was in Detroit. And I feel like people wouldn't be really as mad about the touchdown if it wasn't out of victory formation. I think that was the main issue that people had with that play. But at the same
yeah,
time, like you said, they were already winning the game. It was like a blowout already. They got stopped on the 1 yard line. So like if you don't want to be in that situation, don't throw a pick and leave them on the 1 yard line in the first place. So
yeah. Even at the end of the game, whenever you saw Arthur Smith come in and confront Dennis Allen,
mhm.
you got to see the video. There's literally one of the black coaches. He walks by and has some words for Dennis
Yeah. It
Allen.
was it was funny. It was funny.
You got to see that. Oh my
That was
goodness.
real though. That was funny though.
Bro, that was and the thing is, like, no, like I didn't even catch it till I saw it like the third
Yeah,
time. I'm like, dang,
someone pointed it out and I was like, "What?" And I like rewatched it. I was like,
yes, he
"Oh."
has some words for them, bro. But
But talking about the Atlanta Falcons, that's really going to segue into our next topic, which is the Black Monday. And we have had quite a few firings. Most of them have been, pretty predictable. Like we thought this was going to happen. But I think there's one that's like really, oh, you know.
yeah,
So like obviously Arthur Smith got fired from the Falcons, but I'll let you name off a couple of them and go ahead and
but
do
yeah,
it.
I know we already talked about Arthur Smith. I just want to dive a bit deeper into that, and then I'll get into another one. his firing literally struck at midnight after the NFL season ended.
They wasted
And
no time whatsoever to get him out of there.
no time. They ain't even let bro go home. like, but it was definitely the right move for the Falcons. And before their season, I thought with this roster, with that defense, they would definitely be winning 10 games plus. But Arthur Smith has literally not utilized the three guys he's had in the top 10 in these drafts every year. And just not being able to get them in the scheme is crazy to me. And if these
Using
guys
them
were on
as decoys is insane. Using Kyle Pitts, the one of the most talented tight end prospects to ever play the game, as a lead blocker for Tyler Algier is crazy, bro. Like, like what are you
bro,
doing at that point?
and they be throwing it to Jonnu Smith. Like, bro, you have Kyle Pitts. Like these
Like, there's
guys
no reason Jonnu Smith's time this season he has more touchdowns than Kyle Pitts does as a Falcon. Like,
like these guys were top of their position in college. They won awards for their position at college. You saw Drake London, Bitlikov, you saw Bijan, you saw Kyle Pitts all get these awards. And you look at that and be like, let me not use them. So like, I mean, I guess I really just don't understand. But another coach that got fired this morning, I woke up and he was fired. Mike Vrabel. And that was one of the craziest things I have seen in a minute. Just because I feel like Mike Vrabel was a really good locker room guy
mhm.
ever since he got hired 6 years ago. And he got fired today. He's been 54 and 45 over the last 6 years, 2-3 in the playoffs, two AFC South championships, and 13 and 21 in the last two seasons. But this year he was last in the AFC South with rumors of a Derrick Henry trade during before the trade block or the trade expiration even happened. And it's just one of those things where you were like, how does this even like happen? It wasn't even like mutually parted ways. Like
Mhm.
they done fired this man.
That's
And
crazy, bro. Especially because like bro has had three different starting quarterbacks as with his time in Tennessee. He went to the playoffs with Marcus Mariota, then he went to the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill. And honestly,
as the one seed.
if he started Will Levis all year, they might have snuck their way into the wild card. You don't know. But yeah, it's just crazy that the Titans really fired him when he was a real bright spot on the team. You know, he was like really he was a great coach. He was one of the better coaches in the league. And I can't wait to see him next year in Philadelphia. That's that's all I have to say.
Bro, I feel that. I felt the same way about like him coming to Carolina, but it was like I'm so tired of like coaches who get fired from somewhere coming to Carolina because
Hmm.
they're just gonna get fired again, honestly. And it's just like you might as well send him over back to New England where he played as an athlete. Just give him the job over there, especially if you see Bill Belichick, who is on the hot seat right now. So if he gets fired, I'd be looking for Mike Vrabel right there.
But yeah, also your boys, the Panthers fired Scott Fitterer. I know you were excited about that
Um,
because he has not made a lot of well, he has made some really good draft choices, but he's also made some questionable decisions, you know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about that firing, Jalen?
Honestly, I'm happy he's gone. And I know the first year he was there, I wasn't too mad. Like the year whenever we had well, literally last year, whenever we had Steve Wilkes, he didn't have that bad of a draft, and then we ended up going 6-6 to end that year off with Wilkes. And we ended up letting go of Wilkes, which was even more sickening because he was like the Antonio Pierce to us, bro. Like that
Hmm.
was the guy we really wanted to be our head coach. We ended up getting Reich. But I mean, it was one of those things. He let go of DJ Moore. He like you got to think in 2019. This is who we had on the roster: Cam, CMC, DJ Moore, Brian Burns, Curtis Samuel, Taylor Moton. Bro, we had so many guys, bro, so many dogs, and we have like no one else left on this team anymore. That is like we got worth guys, but it's just not the same, bro, at
You have
all.
J.C. Horn, who could be a top cornerback in the league if he was able to stay healthy. You have Brian Burns, who you could have traded for first rounds this year and last year,
Like
but now
imagine
he's
us
about to
having a
walk
first
for
round this
free.
year. It'd be like in the 20s, but like still.
But now he's gonna walk away for free, which is a shame. And then And then you have Frankie Louvu, who I know that's your guy. You wanted to stay,
My
but you never
God,
know with how what's going on in the organization if they're gonna be able to re-sign him or not. So we'll
that's a
see.
guy you need to sign him first. Him and Derek Brown.
And then just like the Panthers, a former Panther, we shall say. Washington Commanders coach Ron Rivera was also let go on Monday morning. And this was one we expected to happen during the season. So it's kind of surprising that it didn't happen during the season and they waited so long. But
Yeah.
everybody saw this coming.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't see it coming, you just don't know ball. But
Mhm.
like this is something that should have happened last year. And honestly, after the 4-13 season, Josh Harris was just done with what he had to do. And Josh Harris is a pretty good owner of the team. So honestly, whatever he does with the team, I'm gonna think that like they're gonna be good in the next
And
few years.
they also just hired that dude from the Warriors, the to run their football operations. You know what I'm talking
I know
about?
who you're talking. I forget his name, but I know
Yeah, I
who you're
forgot his
talking
name
about.
also. And
But they're
he was one of the main reasons for that dynasty in Golden State. He was there with all four of their rings. Then he left last year. He kind of saw the downfall happening. But
yeah.
that's a good hire by Washington right there. Them trying to build something over there. And I hope it doesn't work out as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but
But
as just a
it's gonna
football
be
fan, I
crazy
hope
to
it does
see.
work out.
It's gonna be crazy to see whenever someone in the NFC East actually repeats division winners for the first time in a minute.
Mhm. In 19 years, man.
I know, bro. It could
And
have been
then
y'all.
it would don't remind me, bro. Other coaches that were fired during the season we already know about, but just wanted to bring it up with all these other coaches getting fired. Raiders, Josh McDaniels was fired. Antonio Pierce, we all want him to stay the head coach, but it seems like there's interest with Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Harbaugh is interested in the Raiders. I
Bro,
really hope
Jim,
not, even though like I
Jim,
like Jim Harbaugh. Um, don't go to the Raiders. Antonio Pierce is that guy. If they hire him, the locker room's gonna be upset because that's who the locker room wants, and it'll just be it just wouldn't work out.
Jim, I
Chargers,
remember you. I remember you back in that Carolina jersey, bro. Just come back,
uh,
please.
he's a Philadelphia Eagle too. He's
Please.
also a Philadelphia Eagle, bro.
He's not going to Philly, bro.
He's also a Philadelphia
Go
Eagle.
look at the picture of him in that Panthers
Nah, bro,
uniform
I
on
refuse.
that ball.
I refuse.
Yes, sir.
Chargers, Brandon Staley, about time he was fired this season. Everybody's waiting for that one. Panthers, Frank Reich in his first year with the Panthers was fired. And another coach to be on the lookout for to get the boot. Beware of um I'm on my tripping. Like bro is Bill Belichick. I don't know how I forgot his
Yes,
name.
sir. Bill
Bill
Belichick.
Belichick, look out for him. He might just give up. I saw something. He might just give up his control over, personnel, and drafting and trading for people as a GM,
Yeah.
which would be interesting. But he like I think the best case scenario is just let him go altogether because I think it's just time for a new like a fresh start over there in New England.
Fresh face.
hmm
I'm thinking that what's it called?
Honestly, if Philadelphia loses to Tampa Bay on Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if I mean not Frank, Nick Sirianni's gone out of Philadelphia. It's just this has been bad coaching all year. Like I don't know if they would do it, but after going to the playoffs and having a bad like one of the worst turnarounds and fall offs in NFL history, um, I think I think that oh my God, my Siri just acted up. But Um, who else am I thinking of? Well, I can't really think of it. I just got distracted. So yeah, Nick Sirianni. Oh yeah, I
Bro,
was gonna say Nick Sirianni. Even though he did have us having a winning season this year, and we are in the playoffs. Like I said, that turnaround and having the worst fall off in NFL history will play an impact. And we went to Super Bowl with Nick Sirianni, but we lost the Super Bowl. We lost. We fired 2 seasons afterwards. We had fired for our Dougie P after he
yeah.
won us the Super Bowl. So Nick Sirianni, like even though he could come back, I wouldn't be surprised at all, and I wouldn't be upset at all if he gets fired after the season if we lose in the first round of playoffs.
Yeah. Another guy that I think who is a candidate to might be fired, and this is a big might, is Matt Eberflus for the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it solely depends on if they keep Fields or not. Because if
They
they
keep
keep
Fields, you think they're gonna
Fields,
fire him?
no, I think if
Oh,
they keep Fields, they keep Matt.
oh
And
okay.
that's just because what he's had Fields has had what 2, 3 head coaches already,
Mm.
and with
I was
that,
thinking the other way around. If they draft Caleb, they'll keep him, but if they keep old dude, they're gonna keep Justin Fields. You feel me?
I just think if they because this is the thing with the Chicago Bears. They get a new QB and they get a new coach every couple years. We've seen it happen over and over. If you're gonna keep Fields, I think you keep Eberflus, and they're twice the times better than they were last year. They won what 7 games this year, 6 games, and they only
Mhm.
won 3 last year. So they're a lot better than they are last year. They have the number one pick. I don't see the problem in taking Marvin Harris and giving yourself another weapon for Fields. A weapon that Fields could have played with at Ohio State. I mean, Marvin was a freshman, but like you still basically played with Fields, and that's a connection that you're gonna love for this team.
Also,
But
I'd say look out for Dennis Allen as well. Like just that move that they did with Jameson Williams and then like all the not Jameson, Jamal Williams and all that feedback they're getting.
yeah,
It's obviously you can tell that he lost the locker room a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he gets fired. So I don't think and then last one is Mike McCarthy. If they lose in the first round to the Packers, if they lose in the first round, Mike McCarthy's gonna be gone. Dan Quinn's probably gonna be moved up to head coach. And like that's what they've been saying since the beginning of the season. So that's what I've heard. And I wouldn't be surprised at all either because it's
I
Jerry's
think I'd be
world, so Jerry's gonna
surprised.
do whatever he wants. Huh?
I think I'd be surprised if that happened.
Surprise.
That'll just be crazy. That team has too much talent.
hmm I think
But
that's the reason why, because they have that much talent, and if they don't make it out the first round again, or they don't make it to the NFC champ or chip, I don't expect them to keep the coach.
yeah. And speaking on that, we're going to get into our wild card predictions of this year's 2023 to 2024 NFL playoffs.
Super
And,
wild card weekend, baby.
and I want to start off with the Browns and the Texans. That's going to be the first game that we're going to see on Saturday. And this is what I think, y'all. I think we talked about this mid-season. We talked about how valuable the run game is and how good coaching is as a team. And me personally, I think that the Browns are a lot better coached than the Houston Texans, even though D'Amico Ryans is a great coach, a great coach. Kevin Stefanski might go out there and win a coach of the year. I think they can run the ball a lot better. I think with Joe Flacco behind that squad, I think Joe Flacco has the ability to make things happen with this. And I think they just have a lot more experience, especially playoff experience on that squad. I get they're going to Houston. It's going to be a crazy environment. They haven't seen a playoff game in 3 years over there. But I think the Browns go into Houston and win. And CJ Stroud, Ohio State, if you can prove me wrong, prove me wrong. But just know, as of right now, I think the Browns are a better team. And I think they go in there and take the win.
I
What
also agree
about you?
with you. Just like you said, the run game is important, and the Browns have one of the better run games in the league. Their defense is better, and D'Amico Ryans, I am a big fan of what he's doing over there. But at the same time, I just think they're too inexperienced at that point. They got Joe Flacco, a veteran quarterback, and bro's playing great football right now. So I'd be
Mhm.
surprised if they were gonna lose the first round, especially to a unexperienced quarterback. No shade to CJ Stroud or anything, but he is a rookie. I wasn't expecting him to win a playoff game this year. Anyways, if they did win the division, when I said they were gonna win the division, but yeah, I do have Cleveland winning that game. And the next game, on the list, that night, a revenge game. Number one, we have Miami and Kansas City. Tyreek
Mhm.
Hill's making his return to Arrowhead. It should be a good game. I'm gonna take Miami to win, just because I feel like they're more consistent than Kansas City, even though can't they do struggle losing against winning teams. I'm just not really sold on Kansas City's offense enough to say that, they're gonna beat Miami. I feel like that Miami offense is gonna have a good turnaround, especially after losing. I think they've lost 2 weeks in a row. After losing two in a row, I think that Miami they're gonna bounce back just because that team is too talented offensively to not bounce back. That defense is still loaded too. And Mike McDaniels is a great coach. Should be a really interesting game what the offenses do under both masterminds of Mike McDaniels and Andy Reid. Should be interesting, but that's why I'm winning. I got Miami winning.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta disagree with you. Tyreek back at Arrowhead. Arrowhead is a insane place to play in the playoff season. And the Chiefs are just a different team in the playoffs. It's gonna be crazy for the wide receivers. Cedric Wilson and Tyreek versus MVS and Kadarius Toney. It's gonna be such a bad matchup with wide receivers. But Miami is also beat up.
Hmm.
And I think the Chiefs take advantage of that. I think that defense kind of pulls through this game, and I think the Chiefs go out there and win. And there's like nothing really that crazy about it. I think it's just a simple win for the Chiefs. They're a different team in the playoffs. And then going into that, we're gonna go with the Steelers at the Bills the next day. And I'm not sure if the Steelers will have TJ Watt this week. I know he got a grade 2 MCL sprain, so
Yeah,
he's
they
not
said he's not
playing.
playing. No.
Yeah, that'll be crazy for them. He finished with what 19 sacks on the year. And with this, it all comes back to running the ball. And what these teams have been really good at over the last few stretch of games this year, especially if you watch the Steelers over the last couple games, they have been able to run that rock. And it's one of those things you're like, goodness, like this offensive line is not playing for real. And despite that, I think that I don't think it's gonna be an offensive game, but the better offense will win this game, and I think that's gonna be the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Buffalo's also gonna win just because, just like Cleveland, Buffalo's hot right now, and I mean they had a really bad game offensively on Sunday night, and they still managed to win that game. So I think going into playoffs, they'll pick up their sack a little bit, especially against a better defense in Pittsburgh. You know, Pittsburgh always has one of the better defenses in the league. So I do think Buffalo's gonna be able to win. I think their run game has been cooking lately with James Cook, you know, in the backfield. So, yeah, I'm taking Buffalo, and I want to see Stephon Diggs go off, right? Stephon Diggs hasn't gone off in a minute, so Stephon Diggs
Yeah.
is bound for a breakout game, and it just happens that the playoffs arrive this week. So I'm expecting a big Stephon Diggs game this week.
Yes, sir.
Next game, you know, we have Green Bay versus Dallas in Jerry's world. Mike McCarthy, facing off against his former team. And it should be a good game, you know. I'm gonna say I have Dallas winning, even though I really want Green Bay to beat them but it's gonna be Dallas at home. And we've seen Dallas at home. They haven't lost all year at home. They haven't lost in like 2 years at home. So it's just the fact that they're at home and they have such a talented team all around. You know, they have a great receiving well, I wouldn't say great receiving core. They have CeeDee Lamb, which is just a great receiver. They have a really good up and coming tight end. They have Tony Pollard, who hasn't had a great year this year, but I still think he's one of the better backs in the league. Dak Prescott's playing really great football right now. And that defense, they got Michael Parsons, I'm not Stephon Diggs. Stephon Gilmore's been playing pretty good. Deron Bland's, you know, playing really good. So I just think this will be a little overwhelming for Jordan Love in his first year as a starting quarterback. But I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay upsets them just because you know how Dallas shows up in the playoffs and you know they've been struggling the last few weeks, except against Washington. But like Washington was a bottom team anyway, so we're not really bugging on that. But
Yeah.
you know, who knows? I think Green Bay does have a really good chance at upsetting them at home. But I'm gonna take Dallas to win the game.
Yeah, I think this is another team where the Cowboys haven't lost at home in 2 years. And what I think is going to happen, I think the Cowboys go in there and dominate. They need to make a statement. And they're at home. You've been to AT&T Stadium for the Cowboys before. This stadium is going to be rocking for this playoff game. And I feel like they're on a pedestal right now. And it all started whenever they beat Philly. And whenever they truly had a shot at that NFC East title, that's whenever they've been playing completely different. And they're going to be back to play Mike McCarthy's old team. I think the Cowboys go out there and take the dub. And then up next, we got the Rams at the Lions, a revenge game we have here. And like I've been saying over the past few weeks, the Rams aren't a team you want to see in the postseason. And like we said earlier in the pod, Sam Laporte is injured. Khalif Raymond's injured. And if you would have given these guys a rest, you probably would have had a lot of a better chance. And this is not to say they won't even like still make it a close game or win. But with Stafford playing his old team back in Ford Field, this just feels like a game that the Rams are gonna win. For some reason, I got the Rams.
I couldn't agree more. I also have the Rams. I just feel like the Rams are hot as well. Like if you're hot right now in the playoffs, it's just the perfect time to be hot. This is exactly when you want to be hot. And the Rams are playing great football. This is I think this receiving core is as good as it was with Odell back when they won the Super Bowl. They don't have Odell's, explosiveness, but I think that Puka Nacua has been playing really great football. That run game is way better than it was when they had just Cam Akers in the backfield when they made it to the bowl again. But with Kyren Williams, so I'm taking the Rams to win. Detroit's defense, I've been saying, is a little wishy-washy. They did beat the Vikings, but it wasn't really too big, like that great of a win, and they did hurt a lot of their players playing against that
Justin
defense.
Jefferson had 200 yards.
Like so, I think that Cooper Cup and Sam Laporte and Sam Laporte, Cooper Cup and Puka Nacua will have a really great game. Last we have Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. I want to say Philadelphia. Philadelphia are the favorites on the road in Tampa, but I can't say that I
You
think they're gonna
better
win.
say Philly. You better say
I
Philly.
can't say Philly just because we lost to the Cardinals. Like the Cardinals are not a great team. Then we went next week with a statement win to try to win the division. We lost to the Giants. So I'm just not really optimistic. I have faith Philadelphia if they are able to implement the run game like they should against Tampa Bay, they'd win the game. But I have no guarantee they're going to implement that run game in the first place. So I want to say Philadelphia, but I'm really just leaning towards Tampa Bay with how we've been playing recently. It's nothing like against Philly. It's just how it is right now. We're not hot right now when we want to be hot, and that's an issue.
So yeah, and Philly suffered some injuries in Week 18 in MetLife. Sidney Brown, promising safety, ended up tearing his ACL over there. And the Bucks came off of week, a terrible week on offense, but they honestly their defense played good. They shut out Carolina, which isn't that much of an accomplishment, but any shutout is a good shutout. And they're gonna try to redeem themselves this week. They're gonna smell blood in the water. And the way that Phillies look this year, the Bucks are definitely going to show up, and they're definitely going to show up at home too. And I'm gonna take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which makes me sad to say since they're NFC South, but I gotta take the Bucks. So
Yeah, man. Like I said, even though I think that the Bucks are gonna win that game, I'm still holding out hope. I do really hope Philadelphia gets their stuff together and finds their identity in the run game against Tampa Bay. Let DeAndre Swift do his thing, 1,000-yard rusher. Hopefully AJ Brown, Devontae Smith are ready and good to go by that time. Hopefully Jalen Hurts is all good with his finger and everything. But it's hard to say that we're gonna go out there and win that game, especially after, we've been struggling against we have the worst defense just in general in the league right now. And then the Cardinals didn't have no good receivers. The Giants ain't have no really good receivers. And now we have to go against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It's just uh, the Bucks it just looks good. It just looks better right now after watching the last couple games from both teams. You feel me?
yeah, and I mean, hopefully we have some great games this weekend. I'm hoping for some great storylines. I know that they're gonna get asked about all the games before and after and who they're gonna play next week. And if y'all win, y'all go play San Francisco on the road, which you're not too optimistic about that either.
If But what if what's it called? That's only if the Rams and the what's it called lose. Packers lose, ain't it?
Nah, what? Because what's it called? It'll be yeah, y'all will play the first seed because it's 4 and 5 who go
Uh,
and play the first seed.
Ah,
Yeah.
ah, ah.
So, but yeah, just speaking on that, um, hopefully we just have some good games. You feel me?
Yeah.
And with saying that, I was gonna go ahead and wrap up our pod. And I just want to say, if you're listening to this, if you listen to a whole way through, I want to say thank you. If you've been listening to all of our pods the whole way through, stick with us. I want to say thank you too. I mean, we are getting into the greatest part of the NFL season. We're gonna have some crazy stuff to talk about, especially incoming these next few weeks into next February. So, what you gotta say, Jaden?
Yeah, it should be a great weekend of football. Also, you never know what could happen in the next couple of days, in the next couple hours, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just crazy what would happen to all the teams that aren't in the playoffs, who could get fired, who's gonna get interviewed, stuff like that. But yeah, like we said at the beginning, congratulations again to Michigan for winning the national championship.
Who said
I
that?
know,
Not me.
I know you didn't say that. I'm gonna say that for both of us. I'm gonna say it for both of us. Congratulations to Michigan. And Philly, Philly. Fly Eagles fly. I can't really say with that
You
with a
got it,
big old
baby.
smile
Go
on my face.
Panthers. All
Can't say
right.
that with a big old smile on my face right now. But Fly Eagles fly. I hope we pull out the win. And all I know is that the streets need Baltimore Ravens versus Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl with with Usher performing at halftime.
But
That
yeah,
is what the streets need.
but yeah. Again, thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.
Let's see you guys.